Really, really long ago, way far out in space, in a dark, dank place shunned by starlight, there was this creepy planet floating alone. The beings of this world were creepy. They spent their time staring creepily into space. Just creepy daydreamers, right? Wrong. They were searching for a new home. At last, they fixed their creepy gazes on a distant world, a land of beauty and peace. Creepy is definitely a word I would use to describe the Shroobs, but I feel like we could have been a little bit more creative here, guys. Come on. On a more serious note, the Shroobs are some of Mario and Luigi's most horrific villains they've had the displeasure of going against. Most of the Shroob race consists of these purple fungal-like creatures, with glowing red eyes, sharp fangs, and claw-like pincers. Their appearance matches their demeanor, as they are cold-blooded monsters that will destroy everything in their path, overthrowing kingdoms with ease. From what I've seen, most people assume they invaded the Mushroom Kingdom because their home planet was dying. I haven't seen any evidence 100% confirming this, but looking at how they act, and what they do throughout Partners in Time, it would make total sense that their planet is slowly being destroyed. But I don't think there's a way to be entirely certain. Though, what we do know is that they did in fact decide to invade the Mushroom Kingdom, and this invasion caused great calamity for every inhabitant there. We first meet the Shroobs a long time ago in Mushroom Kingdom Past, when Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, and Bowser were just babies. After a little kerfuffle at the castle, they are all put under siege by the Shroobs. Without a fully matured Mario and Luigi, there is absolutely nothing they could do to fight back. Even if the Mario Bros were adults, there were far too many Shroob saucers for them to realistically fight. With the help of a young Bowser, they did luckily manage to escape. I'll go over this encounter more in a second, but first, a little backstory. In the present day, Professor Egad invented a time machine. Just another ordinary day in the Mushroom Kingdom. Afterwards, they decide to send arguably the most important person in the entire kingdom to test it out, Princess Peach, and a few assistants. Eventually, the time machine returns to the present, containing a junior Shrooboid instead of Princess Peach. After Mario swiftly deals with the threat, Luigi alerts everyone of a time hole open in the castle's garden due to the time machine creating tears in the time continuum. Long story short, they go into the time hole and find themselves a short ways out of Holly Jolly Village. Okay, with the time hole closing behind them, Mario and Luigi decide to head to Holly Jolly Village. On their way there, they start to hear massive explosions, and a toad falls from the sky while dozens of Shroob saucers fly above them, one of them picking up the toad. It's clear the village is under attack, but you could never have guessed the severity of the destruction. Once Mario and Luigi arrive, they find the village in complete ruins. There are a few remaining toads by the time they get there, but they are all swiftly abducted by the Shroobs. Every building is damaged in some way, with many not even being enterable. Nobody is left here. This once peaceful town covered in Christmas decorations is now completely in ruins, with lights flickering and fireplaces still lit. You are only moments too late. Everyone is gone, and at this moment, who knows where they are being taken? Well, there is still one person left. The mayor, who had to hide in a chimney to escape the Shroobs. While helping him get unstuck, you unknowingly send him right into a Shroob convoy, where he is also abducted. The remaining Shroobs are too much for the Mario Bros to handle, and with a severe lack of vital equipment at their disposal, they lose. Yeah, that's right. Mario and Luigi lost, took a plasma death ball from a Shroob saucer, but nonetheless they still lost. This is the only time in the series where they lose. Kinda. But unlike the other time, they don't get up, and things are looking real bleak for our heroes. Now that we are caught up, back to the babies. They are flying in the Koopa Cruiser when suddenly, they are attacked by the Shroob saucers once again. Quick side note, these guys just don't give up. We are still very early on in the game, and time again they show up. Whenever you think you've escaped, or they've left, there's always more. You aren't just fighting a small army, you are fighting an entire species. But I'll get back to that. After fighting them off, they coincidentally find the older bros and save them in the nick of time. They go down and bring the older bros back to the Koopa Cruiser. Conveniently, in the script, I was going to take a second to talk about the brutalities we've seen already. And I guess the game had the same idea, so we'll have Toadsworth help us out here. Those monsters. Their arrival seems like a horrible dream. It was all so sudden. Foul parasites from the Shroob planet, land of utter creepiness. Their purpose is oh so clear. They wish to take all we hold dear in the Mushroom Kingdom. Our land, our very lives. The Shroobs are ruthless, killing machines. It's very clear their entire species lacks empathy, as they destroy everything in their path to meet their own agenda, which is scary considering the massive amounts of them there are. It doesn't matter how many you take down, there will always be more. All loyal to their own cause. Or more importantly, the cause of their leader. With ease, the Shroobs took over the entire kingdom with basically no retaliation, under the control of Princess Shroob, but we'll get back to her later. Almost the entire Mushroom Kingdom was affected by the Shroobs in some way, with only a few minor exceptions such as Bowser's Castle and Thwomp Volcano. We'll get the biggest examples out of the way first, starting with Peach's Castle. Peach's Castle was, as I stated earlier, attacked by the Shroobs who showed no mercy, and they very shortly after transformed it into Shroob Castle. Shroob Castle is completely overrun with purple mushrooms and is infested with Shroobs, with Shroob saucers flying over it. It truly is a nightmare to look at. The once beautiful Peach's Castle, now transformed into this unsettling fortress, not to mention the 2 statues of Princess Shroob we can see from afar. Toad Town isn't much better. In fact, it's extremely similar to Holly Jolly Village. There are only 2 civilians still left in Toad Town, Grandma Red and Grandma Green, who are old ladies that run the local shop. Besides them, there is no one left, unless you count the hordes of enemies that roam about. The entire town is also covered in purple mushrooms, much like the castle. My first thought would be that despite the entire town being in ruins and falling apart, the Shroobs would use the place as their own home. But this isn't the case. The only enemies we can find here are either Shroids, which are robots, or other random enemies that aren't Shroobs. This confuses me because why wouldn't they try living here? After abducting all the civilians from here, it seems like the perfect place to stay, but they seemingly don't care about it after leaving it in ruins. Next up, the Koopaseum. The Koopaseum is a large coliseum that the Shroobs have infested. We only see it used as a place for Princess Shroob to seemingly execute Princess Peach at, which, man, I feel like we don't talk about this moment enough. Obviously Peach survives, but still, she's fed to a giant plant. You can't really convince me she was supposed to survive this, right? Though, another really interesting thing about the Koopaseum is that, when we visit it, it is completely filled to the brim with Shroobs. There are hundreds, if not thousands of the parasites in there. It really shows that there is no proper way the bros could launch a full-scale siege of the kingdom to try and retake it. They really couldn't realistically fight all the Shroobs. The only reason that they survived when they were on stage is because they were knocked down into a cave below. They aren't even taken seriously enough by Princess Shroob to be fully killed. Even a place as far away as Yoshi Island isn't safe from Shroob influence, though it is greatly diminished. Instead of the Shroobs taking a hands-on approach, they leave an oversized Yoshi-looking egg on the island. This egg eventually hatches, releasing a creature called Yoob onto the island. Yoob is a Shroob version of a Yoshi, being a lot fatter and very much more aggressive. It consumes all the Yoshis on the island, and eventually, after becoming enlarged due to some passing by Shroob saucers, it eats the Mario Bros as well. We don't know much about Yoob. We don't even really know its backstory. I have 2 theories about the origins of Yoob though. Either it A, is a creature that could be found on the Shroob planet, or B, was once a Yoshi, now turned into a terrifying monster that attacks the other Yoshis. There's not much evidence to prove either of these theories, but I just thought I would throw them out there. Finally, we have Star Hill. Star Hill, more specifically the Star Shrine, is where a piece of the Cobalt Star can be found. We'll get to that later. Basically, the Shroobs, probably, want the Cobalt Star, so a Shroob commander and a bunch of normal Shroobs can be found here. Later on, the bros are also attacked by an elder Shrooboid. Star Hill hasn't been changed in any way by the Shroobs, unlike most other places they are found. Peach's Castle was turned to Shroob Castle, Toad Town was destroyed, Holly Jolly Village was destroyed, the Koopaseum was taken over, and Yoshi Island was devastated by Yoob. Star Hill though? Besides a few Shroobs looking for Cobalt Star pieces, nothing has been altered. They had no use for it, meaning the Cobalt Star must be extremely important to the Shroobs. But before we get to that reason, there's one last place I've been waiting to talk about. We've already proven time and time again that the Shroobs are monsters. There's no arguing that. And if you somehow don't believe me, this next part is undeniable proof of that. A reoccurring theme we've seen is toads being abducted by a flying Shroob saucer. Just a funny alien reference, right? Well, yes, but there's a dark, reality to what is happening to these toads. Once they have been abducted, they are brought to Toadwood Forest, but not just to be held in captivity. The Shroobs have a reason for keeping them alive. Thanks to Totoko, we are given the full story of what is happening to these toads. Once they are brought to Toadwood Forest, they are connected to the trees in the forest. These trees siphon the life essence, called Vim, out of them. The Vim is then transported to the Vim factory deep in the heart of the woods, where it is transformed using chemicals into fuel for the many, many Shroob saucers we have seen. As the Vim is sucked out of the toads, they grow weaker and weaker. They beg for help, for you to save them. But you can't. It seems that some of them are so far gone that they are merging with the trees, losing their color. All you can do for them is push on towards the factory. In the factory, there is a Swiggler, a Shroobish version of a Wiggler. The Swiggler transforms the Vim power from the toads into electrical power that recharges the Shroob saucers. Once you defeat it, you get another piece of the Cobalt Star. Speaking of which, throughout the entire game, we slowly learn more and more about Princess Shroob, the leader of the Shroob race. We first see her when she sends a transmission to the Koopa Cruiser right after the older and younger bros meet up. During it, she speaks entirely in a Shroob language, which we cannot understand, and it is almost completely untranslatable, besides one word, meaning destroy. Later on, in the Koopaseum, Princess Shroob is seen again, feeding Princess Peach to Petey Piranha. Once the bros save Princess Peach, they all go home and live happily ever after. Nah, I'm just kidding, it was Princess Shroob in disguise. A bunch of stuff happens after, but let's pause here. So far, we know that Princess Shroob is the leader of the Shroobs, and is an almost polar opposite of Princess Peach. Unlike Peach, Princess Shroob is aggressive, ignoble, and all around pretty evil. She is responsible for everything terrible that I've already mentioned, and much more I haven't been able to cover. Well, while this is a true statement, there is more to the story than that. It's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. Princess Shroob has an older sister. Okay, so those Cobalt Star pieces we've been gathering up, well, they've had some crazy foreshadowing going on in the background. Multiple times throughout the story, it is mentioned that the Cobalt Star gives off an eerie feeling, and both Kylie Koopa and baby Luigi realize something isn't quite right with it. This is because when Princess Peach was first sent to the past, she was immediately attacked by the Shroob princesses. Despite this, she managed to trap the elder of the two sisters in the Cobalt Star, and shattered it so she wouldn't be able to escape. But once the Mario Bros. And Bowser put all the pieces together, she is once again finally free. Elder Princess Shroob is only seen at the very end of the game, but she puts up one hell of a fight despite being trapped for so long. Whoever wins this last fight decides the fate of the Mushroom Kingdom. If the Shroobs win, everything will be destroyed. There will be no one to stop them. And with an even more powerful, even wiser princess in charge, the kingdom wouldn't stand a chance. Every living thing that wasn't a Shroob would be killed, and the planet would be doomed to follow the same fate the Shroob planet most likely faced. If the Mario Bros won, the world would be saved. The rightful citizens of the kingdom would be able to return to their everyday lives, and the Shroobs would be destroyed, most likely to go extinct. I've seen a lot of people sympathize with the Shroobs, saying that their home planet was doomed, and they had no other choice than to invade the Mushroom Kingdom. Personally though, I feel they deserve this fate. With everything they put the Mushroom Kingdom and its people through, it gives a good look on what the Shroobs really are. Parasites. They've completely destroyed multiple villages and towns without giving a second thought. They suck the life force out of the innocent toads of the kingdom with no remorse. They ruin everything in their wake. I'm sure what they did to the Mushroom Kingdom, they did to their own planet as well. Meaning eventually, the Mushroom Kingdom and every other kingdom on the planet would end up the same way. Completely annihilated. These aren't redeemable bad guys. They're monsters. Monsters with no empathy whatsoever. Monsters that would never change, and the Mario Bros have to win this battle. Luckily, they do. But before death, Elder Princess Shroob says this: "Foolish mushroom heads, you may have bested me, but Shroobs will live on. One day, the Shroobs will dance on the buried remains of this pathetic kingdom." With both of their leaders dead, and the entire Mushroom Kingdom being drowned in baby tears to remove the Shroob shrooms, you would think that would mark the end of the Shroob race, right? Wrong. You see, as Elder Princess Shroob said, there may actually be a chance for their return in the future. To explain further, let's head on over to Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. In both the original and the remake, there is a very interesting optional Easter egg you can see if you head to Bowser's Castle as the Mario Bros. Once inside a freezer in the basement of Bowser's Castle, if you turn off the freezer, 3 Shroobs will melt out and attack Mario and Luigi. During this battle, you can see many more Shroobs still frozen in the ice. Not only that, but you can also see the younger Shrooboid from the beginning of Partners in Time frozen as well. The most interesting thing in the freezer, though, is the fact that both the younger and elder Princess Shroob are also frozen in the ice, which is strange considering they were both seemingly killed at the end of Partners in Time, with Bowser even eating the remains of elder Princess Shroob. Nonetheless though, here they are, and if those 3 Shroobs survived, there's a good chance the princesses could have as well. It seems like only a matter of time until they break out, especially considering the freezer was still turned off when Mario and Luigi left. Also, before the freezer is ever even opened, you can spot a lone Shroob sitting in a chair in the Fawful Theater, meaning the Shroobs may have still been around even outside of the freezer. Either that, or this one somehow managed to escape on its own. Also, they can be seen in Bowser Jr.'s journey as enemies a few times throughout the game. So if we are taking that into account, there are even more Shroobs escaping presumably from Bowser's freezer. Who knows if the Shroobs really have a future? It's obviously hinted at, but I feel the situation is a lot more complicated than that. With Alpha Dream gone, and Nintendo taking full control of the series, it's impossible to tell what we'll get next. There's a very good chance Nintendo is going to take the series in a completely new direction, only ever giving us references to the older games. Though, I haven't finished Brothership yet, so I may have missed something extremely important. Who knows? The people who finished it, that too.